Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Let it breathe.
Melikilikimaka is a thing to say.
All of today's guests, including Farhan Lalji from the beaches of Hawaii, are brought to you, he's standing by, are brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants are on their holiday break and return to the LEC on December 27th when they take on Victoria. Puck drop, 7 p.m. Visit vancouvergiants.com/tickets for ticket details. Joining us now, vacationing in Maui, it's Farhan Lalji. Farhan, thanks for doing this. How are you? I'm guessing pretty good. Look at you.
Well, it's my last day here. We're going home today, so not as good. But I've got the Hawaiian shirt on in Rick's honor. So it's been a good week.
You couldn't pick a water on the. You're showing us a background of a hotel.
Well, there's palm trees there. It looks pretty good.
I get the resort view, right? I don't get the beach view.
Go to the beach. The beach is 2 minutes away.
I'll be there, but it's a windy day, man. It's a little bit rainy. It's reminding me of home.
Yeah. We feel so bad for you.
It's cold
Farhan.
back there.
By the way, I have to show this. That you tweeted out your thoughts on Nathan Rourke now being a New England Patriot the other day. So we got a still frame of you on the beach. You are looking so good these days. Look at the glasses, the muscle shirt with muscles, I might add. Just what's your secret, buddy? You're looking great.
It's just good television angles. If you saw the full frame, you probably wouldn't think this. You wouldn't think I looked that good.
The secret's out.
But but you know what? It's a good week to recharge. It's been a busy year, as we all know, and I'm as soon as I get back, I'm going to dive into college football playoffs and NFL playoffs, and a lot of road time doing that too. So good to get away and sneak it in here.
Okay, before we talk Nathan Rourke, Farhan, I'm sure people would like to know this, but what is it like? You're in Maui, if I've got that right. What's it like vacationing in Maui right now in the wake of the wildfires?
Yeah, and we're in Kaanapali, which is very close to Lahaina, which is where it all happened. And just to see the devastation there it's awful because Front Street. If you've ever been to this part of Maui or been to the island, you're like that's the place. That's where you want to be. It's incredible. And you can't access it. You just can't go there. It's awful. And on the other side of the highway, just kind of looking up, the fire made its way. It bounced over the highway and up into a part of Old Lahaina. And you can just see all the buildings that have been burned out. And, you've got a lot of residents that have been displaced that are living in tents on the beach. And most people would say, hey, where do I sign up? I can live on the beach in Maui. But, it's different when you're living in it. Even in our resort down below, there are Red Cross stations and things like that for people to get, to get food if they need and supplies if they need. So it's something that's going to be felt here for a long time in this part of the island. So unfortunate for everybody involved.
Yeah, so many of us have been there. All the best to the people of Maui, of Hawaii. Okay, Farhan, tough turn. We're going to take it. Nathan Rourke goes from Jacksonville to New England. I heard your thoughts the other day. We saw your thoughts the other day. Why is this a good thing for Nathan Rourke?
Well, the biggest thing is he's going to get paid a full salary for the next 3 weeks, right? And that's obviously important. After that, I think a change of scenery or a change of opportunity is probably a good thing for him to get evaluated by a different group of people. Although it is ironic that as this is happening, Trevor Lawrence may not play, right? I mean, he's in concussion protocol, and if they decide to be cautious with him and they don't dress him, and C.J. Beathard plays in that game as the starter, and then all of a sudden E.J. Perry, who they brought in a year ago and got cut in favor of Nathan Rourke, gets to dress as the backup. That's unfortunate because right now for Nathan, he's still a number 3. The Patriots lost Will Greer. They lost Malik Cunningham in a week. So he's in there. And the point I tried to make in that hit I did from the beach is that, how much incentive is there for the Patriots right now to want to evaluate Nathan? Do I think he has the ability to be better than Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi? Absolutely. I don't think either one of those guys are anywhere near Trevor Lawrence, but there's a lot of uncertainty in that organization right now, right? Is Bill Belichick going to be back next year? Most people don't believe he is. So who's going to be the GM? Who's going to be in charge of personnel? Who's going to be the head coach? So what's the incentive to evaluate, or do they just want a third body to replace those two guys that they've lost? in the better part of the last 7 days.
Farhan, I know you keep bringing up, he's going to get full salary. He didn't go down there for salary. He went down there to play football. And, how's he going to I'm trying to look forward now. I mean, if he doesn't play again this year, some people will say he wasted a whole year.
Yeah, I think those people are wrong because ultimately he's learned the NFL a little bit. He's relearned the NFL game, how offenses are installed, gotten 3 really, really impressive performances in the preseason. Who knows? Maybe he sneaks in for half a game in the final game of the regular season here. I think this gets him one step closer to where he wants to go in the NFL than had he stayed in BC and played with the Lions. So, I don't know that New England is the spot for him next year because if this team goes back into the draft, because free agency is thin this year in the NFL, so if they go back into the draft to get their quarterback, then their second quarterback probably winds up being somebody with experience that could help take the pressure off the person that they wind up drafting in the first round. But I do think that he's learned, he chose Jacksonville for a number of reasons. The timing on this move to New England is poor. If it happened midway through the season, maybe he, 4 weeks into it, gets a Jake Browning type of opportunity, but it's so late in the season. But next year, I think he finds himself in a spot where there's a less certain quarterback situation. Now, understand, he's going to be an exclusive rights free agent for the Patriots. So he doesn't just get to walk away. He's probably going to have to ask for his release and sees what happens there. But they have the ability to tender him, right, and to just give him a qualifying offer, at the minimum, and then they get him. But if he could find his way into a situation where there's a less certain quarterback, hierarchy, where you've got a veteran guy who just kind of isn't great, right? Whether it's Russell Wilson in Denver or whether it's Derek Carr in New Orleans or, that type of situation, if he can find himself in, he could get that number 2 opportunity, right? Where they don't have the money to invest in a draft pick and maybe Nathan's a good fit in a situation like that. So there's going to be those situations out there. They were out there this year. He just made a different choice, but I do think he's learned a lot in this year and he's farther ahead than had he stayed in the CFL for another year.
All right, Seahawks big win over the Eagles Monday night. 3 games to go. A lot of teams are 7-7, including the Seahawks. Who's coming out of that bunch of 7-7 teams to make the playoffs?
I think the Seahawks will. And I said this 2 months ago. Like I predicted that they were going to lose those 4 games, and then I think they're going to win the next 4, of which they've won the 1 in Philadelphia. So Geno Smith looks like he's going to be that quarterback against Tennessee. Their schedule is so favorable over the teams in the hunt. The Seahawks have the most favorable schedule over these last 3 games. I think they can absolutely win these games. I think they're better when Jamal Adams is not in the lineup defensively. I think they showed that. I know they kind of thought that maybe this week they'd play him because it's a bit more of a run-based team, and he's better defending the run than he is defending the pass. So, I think the worst is behind them. I don't think they're any kind of a contender at all, right? But that said, I do think they can win these next 3 games and sneak into the playoffs. The schedule it's too favorable. They're going to look back. If they miss the playoffs, when you look at the losses they've had this year, especially the second loss to the Rams and, even that Bengals game, they absolutely should have won and they blew it. They're going to look back with a lot of regret, especially if they lose one of these next 3, because they absolutely should be beating teams like Tennessee and Pittsburgh. And it's there for them.
Yep, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona to go for Seattle. I can't remember if we talked about this last week, Farhan. Getting back to Nathan Rourke, his brother Curtis Rourke transfers from Ohio to Indiana. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think he'd kind of done everything he could do at Ohio. Some people will say, well, he didn't win a MAC championship, which doesn't really matter in terms of the big picture as far as him trying to get a pro career. He broke a bunch of Nathan's records. He was MAC Player of the Year. And were it not for the injury, this transfer could have happened a year ago. So Indiana's an interesting choice. And ultimately, it's not like he had a ton of choices. He had 4 opportunities, four offers on the table. Indiana puts him in a big conference in the Big Ten, and the conference is different next year because they don't have the East-West format. So he's going to have a tough schedule, right? He plays Washington, he plays Ohio State, and he plays Michigan. So he's going to get to, have a really big spotlight on him. If he can put in some good performances, then, I remember Michael Penix when he was at Indiana threw for 500 yards against Ohio State in a loss. Could Curtis Rourke do something similar next year? If he can, it's certainly going to turn some heads as far as the NFL is concerned. Certainly, the CFL is obviously very impressed with him, and he's going to be a high draft pick there. He'll go back into the draft next year, right? He would have been in the 2024 draft. Now he's in the 2025. So Indiana's not necessarily a great Big Ten program, but there's a lot of average Big Ten programs. If he can tread water against those three teams, he could win any of the other games he faces and put himself in a position to have some success and show himself in a brighter spotlight going into next year. So good for him. And he's in Vancouver right now training with Rob Williams, and Nathan will be back in a month, and they'll all be training together in North Van again, doing their thing, getting ready for next year.
Will you be back by then?
I will be back at midnight tonight, guys. And I said, I heard it's going to be cold in
Canada,
BC, so not looking forward to that. But hey,
grab a pineapple and hit the beach one last time. Farhan, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
See you guys.